These are my first impressions on the new HOKA Clifton 10s, and I'm gonna throw them on feet for you. So if you're not familiar, this is HOKA's probably most popular model. I think this is what kind of got HOKA famous, and the HOKA Clifton 10 is their non-plated everyday daily trainer that is kind of famous for its high stack height. In this day and age, with all the running shoes having high stack height as well, it's not really, I guess, as high stack as other shoes nowadays, but nonetheless, it is still a max cushion daily trainer. So these are my first impressions on the Clifton 10. Also, since I actually just ran in the New Balance 880 V15s and I'm finishing up a final review, I didn't actually have a chance to do my first run, which is why this video is going to be the first impressions instead of a first run review. But let's start off with the traction or the outsole of the HOKA Clifton 10s. In my opinion, nothing revolutionary, nothing groundbreaking. It looks like the typical HOKA outsole pattern. The rubber pods on the bottom of the shoe feel pretty durable and pretty grippy. I would say that the rubber compound is not too soft and it feels pretty durable, as well as it, since it's new too, it feels a little bit tacky. And it looks like you're gonna have pretty good outsole coverage on the bottom of the shoe with, exception of these white midsole parts, but overall outsole looks to be pretty good. Now moving on to the midsole, which is what everyone kind of wants to know about in the HOKA models. Typically, we have a full length CM EVA midsole. What does that mean? No clue. Just from throwing them on feet, I would say that they feel pretty normal. They don't feel like super bouncy or anything. They do feel comfortable. They do feel like they have a lot of cushion under the foot, but they don't feel like anything revolutionary. It's probably just an EVA, and they threw in the CM in front of that just to, I guess, make it a little more special. But my prediction for this shoe is that it's going to have enough cushion, and it's kind of not going to get in your way, but it's also not going to really help you at all. It's definitely going to help save your knees, your hips, your ankles and stuff if you do need a higher stack daily trainer. Something that is really different from last year, and I think it's different than all the other Cliftons before it, is that midsole drop. So this year they changed it to an 8mm heel to toe drop. I don't exactly know the heel height or the forefoot height. I'm gonna throw it up on screen if it is released, but I'm not exactly sure if it has. But on foot, they felt kind of like every other daily trainer, if not just a little bit taller. And they do have a little bit of a rocker in the forefoot, which I did feel when I was just walking around my room. Overall, I think that the midsole is going to perform just okay. It's not gonna give you that bounce. It's not gonna be super lightweight, or it's not gonna be super responsive and stuff. But I do think it's gonna get the job done, and it's gonna be really good for maybe those easy miles. Now, for the durability of the midsole, for me personally, I've never really had a lot of luck with HOKA's durability when it comes to midsole. I feel like their cushion usually flattens out because it's typically just a standard EVA, and I think that this shoe is no different. So if you're looking for durability in midsoles, I don't think that this one has changed from the previous Cliftons, but we'll see once I put more miles on the shoe and once I actually run in the shoe. That's just my prediction. Now, when it comes to the upper of the Clifton 10, we have a jacquard mesh upper. Nothing special. HOKA didn't try to really do too much, which I can appreciate, at times, but I do think that with the price increase from last year's model was $145, which is a little bit higher than the typical price range of $140 for most daily trainers. This one, or this year, it's $150. And for, that extra $5, I would like to see maybe a change in the midsole, or, a change in the materials on the upper. The upper doesn't feel too bad. It's kind of like a mesh slash knit, which is why they call it, I think, a jacquard mesh. The tongue, not the biggest fan of it. It doesn't seem very breathable. It feels very kind of like thickly padded, and there's literally no ventilation holes. And then this little Achilles pillow, which, I mean, to me, I don't know if this actually helps with any Achilles problems, but they threw it on there. Just from initial try on too, the fit, I would say the fit is interesting because last year's model I only tried on, and I do have the HOKA Bondi 9s too, but I felt like this year the forefoot actually has a lot more room. I do have a standard foot, or maybe a little bit wider than average foot, and I got my normal size, and I did feel like I had a lot of room in the forefoot. So I don't know if I'm gonna like that too much when I start running in these, but if you do have a wide foot, or if you have a voluminous foot, especially in the forefoot, I think you're gonna be really happy in these, going true to size. Now, if you have a narrow foot, or a low volume foot, you might be able to get away with half a size down in this shoe just because I feel like there's so much volume in the forefoot. But when it came to midfoot and heel lockdown, I think that this shoe is going to be a-okay. Nothing revolutionary, nothing groundbreaking. And as for ventilation of the upper, I think that it's going to be okay. I feel like there's not a lot of ventilation holes in this upper, and it is kind of like a blankety or a thicker material. So don't exactly know how it's going to do when the weather gets super hot, but I am enjoying this colorway of the Clifton 10. I do like this little minty colorway. So overall, first impressions of the shoe, obviously, like I said, I haven't run my first run review. I will run in them tomorrow, and I will make another video, a first run review of the HOKA Clifton 10. But in my opinion, it looks like HOKA didn't really do too much to update the Clifton 9, and they gave that $5 increase in price, which I'm not too big of a fan of. I mean, you can say what you want, $5 is $5, but at the same time too, if every year they're increasing the models by $5, in 10 years, right, we're gonna be paying $200 for a daily trainer, which I'm not gonna be a fan of. So overall, I think it's gonna be a solid performer, but I don't know if it's gonna be worth upgrading if you have the Clifton 9s or if you're looking at the Clifton 9s. I think that these two shoes are gonna be pretty similar, with the exception of the 5mm heel to toe drop on the Clifton 9s versus the 8mm heel to toe drop on the Clifton 10s. I don't exactly know if there's too big of a difference between those two shoes. So if you can get the Clifton 9s on sale, just from a first impression standpoint, I think that you're not going to be missing out on too much with the Clifton 10 unless you are looking at a specific colorway of the Clifton 10. So that's going to pretty much wrap up the first impressions on the Clifton 10. Oh my God, I've said Clifton 10 so many times in a row. But yeah, I threw them on feet for y'all, and I will release the first run review after I run in these, which will probably be tomorrow. So I will catch you guys in the next video.